All right. So welcome everybody. Welcome back, Jenna Lee. We're here a little bit different than last time. We were talking about some open-toed sandals last time, and today it's
Talking
a different
umbrellas
story.
today. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, which that's not fun. But we're real estate agents, and what is fun is talking about sellers getting listed, getting on the market, taking advantage of the best sellers market, maybe in the history of real estate, quite frankly.
So far,
Um,
as far as I've seen it, yeah.
Even when I talk to agents who have been licensed, say back into the late 70s, they go, "Yeah, we've never seen anything like this. It's literally never been like this." So, excuse me. So there are when you got a seller who they want to move, they want to take advantage of take advantage of this market, get the most possible for their home, but they can't get over that hump. They're worried, they're nervous, they're scared. They just what are some of the things that you do, or strategies or ideas that kind of get them moving?
Yeah. So I think the first thing, and then probably the most important piece, is kind of discovering what's their motivation. Do they have to move? Do they want to move? Is there a deadline? Like finding out all of that information, because that can help it's kind of like you work backwards from there. Um,
Okay.
I have so many of those clients that want to move and they just can't quite um, get their footing on what do they do first, or what are they going to do, what if they can't find a house and all these things. So we talk about what the situation is, what their goals are. Goals are huge. And then we kind of just discuss the risks. And I always have a worst case scenario. You always want to talk about worst case scenario. And I always equate it to, like, if you ever fly in an airplane somewhere, the pilot, the flight attendants, everybody plans with dead certainty to land that plane at the destination it's supposed to land at. But every time you get in that airplane, they always go over putting your oxygen mask on, where the flotation devices are, everything. They always go over that plan B just in case, right? So I feel like real estate is the same. We're going to make a plan, we're going to stick to it, but you got to have that plan B or that worst case scenario set up just in case.
Right on, absolutely. And when I think that's one of the things I think that's surprising some sellers, that they find out as they get into the process of selling their home, is they're getting these offers from buyers that frankly are incredible, and not only incredible in terms of offer price and what they would pay for the home,
Yep.
but some of the terms. The buyers are in this Shark Tank trying to make their offer stand out, and so typically where the buyers are chomping at the bit to take possession of that house, as soon as possible, that day of closing. I think we're finding some buyers, excuse me, that are even offering rent backs and lease backs if the seller needs more time to find that suitable housing. Obviously not forever, because of the terms of the loan, you have to be in the home by a certain time, but they're allowing, they're kind of flexible, maybe with their lease, or they're living at their parents' home or something. And like, that's a new term that I'm seeing in some offers that is, frankly, that's awesome for the buyers. It's really buyers and their agents getting creative, thinking, what can we do? What's another month if we're in this apartment or in this situation, if it gets us our dream house, right?
Yeah, and I think it's it's kind of goes with like the sellers. As a seller, you can call a lot of the shots here. You've got a lot of the cards,
Mm-hmm.
and if that's something that you need, usually in a market like this, you can get it.
Yeah, it's most all the contingencies in a contract are for the benefit of the buyer.
Right.
And the only time the seller has upper hand is when you're in a seller's market, and at the time before you go under contract.
Mm-hmm.
And now, yeah, and the sellers are able to call their shot even more so, even the most, I guess, at any point since I've been a realtor, and as I talk to others who have been realtors longer, same for them, as long as they've been a realtor as well. Um, what about lenders? Do you have any lenders who are offering like longer loan, rate lock commitments, or for loans to maybe not schedule a closing in 6 to 8 weeks, but maybe even 8 to 12 weeks, if that helps?
Yeah, I think you can always go with a longer rate lock. I don't know, I guess typical is what, 45 60-day rate, 45-day rate lock, I guess.
Is it 45 years? I thought it was 45, 60. Well, we're not loan officers, so we,
Right.
we do our best, but
Yeah. But you can always get a longer rate lock. I guess it just depends on what the rates are doing. Like right now, it seems like they're kind of sloshing around. They were going up for a while. Now they're sort of steady or maybe going down and up and down and up. So,
Right.
if they're doing that, it might be worthwhile risk to wait a little while. Or if they're, if they drop down and you're like, gosh, I don't want to risk that, lock in, do an extended rate lock. You pay a few $100s for that. Over the life of the loan, that lower interest rate is going to be a benefit.
Yeah. And, or even if you're the seller and you need more time to find a home, not for nothing, if you got 10 or 15,000 over your asking, put another 1,000 back into buying interest rate lock extension for this buyer to give you more time to find your place. Like,
that's a great idea.
What the heck? You got all this money you weren't planning on getting anyway. So, just part of the process. And like you said, this is kind of sometimes the plan diverts a little bit. You give somebody a destination and the fastest way there is a straight line. But if there's a chair in the way, you're going to have to go around it and change your plan a little bit.
Real estate very rarely is a straight line.
It rarely is a straight line. It really is.
There, but it's not usually a straight line.
True. So the other, and then the other thing a lot of sellers don't even know that if they do a reverse title and transfer contingency and they don't find it, they don't have to sell their home.
Cancel the contract and like nothing ever happened.
And there's so few homes coming on the market that, for the buyers who it may be that dream home, the likelihood that another dream home just like it comes on, like they're really not taking that much risk by being locked into a contract for an extended period of time.
Right. And the reality is if they didn't, it could be months before they get locked into another contract anyways, right? Because the market's so competitive.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the creative things it's funny. I don't have this in my bag, but some agents who own properties themselves, own some rentals, have talked about using their own vacancies in their rentals to help their sellers have a place to, get the most and then be non-contingent when they're finding a house. So tell me about that. Has that ever worked for you, or what's your story?
So I actually am picking up a rental property this month with that intention. So to be able to close on it, and then I have a seller all lined up. They want to sell their house. They don't have a place. They want to buy in a different area, but they can't be non-contingent. They can't purchase non-contingent because they need the money from house A to move to house B. And they were like, gosh, we don't know what we're going to do. We don't have a place to go. And I said, I might have a place to go.
Nice.
So we're going to move them into the rental, my new rental. And then it'll just kind of serve as like a bridge. Now, the downside is moving twice, but the upside is again, it's one of those, it's not a straight line, but we're going to help them meet their goal of getting into a bigger house in a different location that they need. That's much closer to work. So it's all just about being creative. Yeah.
Wow. Well, let me know how I'll follow up with you in a few weeks and a few months, and we'll see how that goes. I'll be curious to hear. That's exciting.
I'll be curious to hear how it goes too. Airbnbs are another one. If somebody's gonna, if an agent doesn't have a rental property or a property that they can move them into, the Airbnbs are, you might think I'm not in a vacation hotspot, so we don't have any here. You would be so surprised at how many Airbnbs are around you. If you just go on, search it. Right here in Pittsburgh, I think there's 7 of them, like right in the village. So arranging something like that, I'm sure, again, if you're not in one of those vacation hotspots, those Airbnb hosts might be thrilled to have you as a 2-month renter, because that's a guaranteed 2 months income for them that they may not otherwise not have, or they might be able to fill 2 weeks of that on any other year. So that's a huge source of kind of a temporary housing situation.
Wow. So it sounds like you've got a lot of experience. It sounds like, you have a plan. How do you communicate your plan, your process to your sellers? I guess that's the thing. Like, how do we get them to say, okay. Like,
Yeah. It's all about, I just had this conversation with a client yesterday. She said, we've been looking and they're contingent and they found something they like, but it of course goes way over, sells non-contingent. It's just
mm,
so hard to have a contingent offer accepted in this market. So she's like, God, this real estate market sucks. And I said, it kind of does. If you're in that situation, it really does. And these are your options. And we laid out like 3 options. One of
mm-hmm,
them was stay for a little while longer in their house and fix it up. One of them was to move twice. And the third option was to build. And, none of which are all terribly appealing to them. And I said, you kind of have to determine like which one sucks the least, and again, keep that end goal in mind. You're going to have to make some short-term sacrifices to
mm-hmm.
get to that long-term goal. If you kind of got to keep your eye on the prize, right? Like just kind of keep moving through, and you might have to move twice, and that's not ideal. But at the end, next year at this time, you'll be all settled and in your new house, and it'll be great.
The other thing I feel very strongly as well, granted, the market is super strong for the sellers. We get it. But what the strategy, it feels like it just turns out this way. I don't think it's intentionally done this way every time, meaning an agent lists a property for this price and it sells way up higher. Like, I don't think the agents knew they were underpricing. Sometimes they know, but sometimes you just don't. It's impossible. There's no other comparables. There's really no indicators. But I feel like, and I had this conversation with a seller just about 3 days ago. I said, you don't know where you're buying yet. You don't know where you want to move. There's never been a better time to test the market for the sale price of your home.
Yeah.
Test hard.
Yeah.
And so try to get that highest possible price that you never thought you would sell your house for. Right. And then if you don't get, like, somebody makes an offer that would have been, like the same offer you were going to get anyways, but maybe you get it a month later, if you don't want to accept it, because you don't have to accept it.
Right.
You can just say no.
Always say no.
You can always say no. Like, just because you're on the market doesn't mean you have to accept an offer, right?
That's a really excellent point because I think that sellers forget, like they just don't even consider that. They assume if they get an offer, or even if they get 5 offers, and even if they get 10 offers and they don't get what they want, you don't have to accept. Even if your offer is 50,000 over asking. Now, I don't know who would turn that down, but you don't have to accept an offer if you don't like the terms or the price. So there's
Right.
always that option of just saying, seeing what you can get and saying no. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's what I think what we really too find is when we get some more properties to go ahead and test this market, maybe it's the time to reach out for your dream home. Instead of, interest rates are at historical lows. Instead of simply refinancing, you're basically are refinancing. You've just got to move in the middle, right?
Right.
That's what a move is. It's refinancing into a different property.
That not straight line.
It's a little bit, but you've refinanced and you've moved up. So, the money, right? Like, when things got crazy, I first thought to myself, well, it's really only as a benefit for people that are selling but not buying, because you're going to get the benefit on the sell, but you're going to pay it back on the buy.
Right.
But you know what, though? You're financing on the buy. And with the interest rates being so low, when you sell, you get the money dollar for dollar, right? And when you buy, you're financing. So I don't think it's an even swap. And, my thinking on this is completely pivoted. And I think there's a huge benefit to selling now. And when we do get a few of these sellers and we get that chain, eventually we get that seller at the end of the chain who is maybe they're moving, we're doing business in New York, right? So maybe they're moving out of state.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just moving into their last residence in an apartment, or maybe it's an estate, or whatever. But we get that end of the chain, and all of a sudden, doon, all those cogs fall into place.
Yep.
Cool.
I think the bottom line is you have options. If you're considering selling, right, there are options for you, whether you're right? It's selling and you don't need to buy, or you want to sell and you're tired of being a homeowner and you want to be a renter, or you're
Yeah.
in the area, or you need a bigger house, that we have options for you. So
Yeah.
that's the bottom line. And the thing we want you to have that discussion with us. We want
Right.
to talk to you about, how we can help you meet your goals and how we can get you into that end goal place.
How much does it cost for your consultation? How much does it cost a client to call you and talk to you and find out about what their options are and what that whole thing could look like? What does that cost?
Nothing.
Oh,
Time.
Yeah, right. We do this. This is part of our deal, right?
Right.
We're consultants,
We're
right?
here
And
for you.
that's it. So we're ready to talk about our marketing plan, why we're going to get so much more for your property than you were even thinking. And when you're ready, you're going to hear our plan. We're not going to talk price. We're not going to talk about that, because frankly, we're going to agree on that when the right time is.
Yep.
But as far as at least knowing what all your options are and being aware of a plan that you're going to be comfortable with, like, we're going to give that to you for free.
Yeah. One of my team's biggest, I guess, selling points, our goals are your goals. Like, we want to help you reach your goals, whatever those are. It might be, gosh, we're struggling financially. We want to figure out how we don't want to have to sell our house, but we want to be able to manage financially, and we might have to sell our house. And so we want to be there with you and help you work through that. And sometimes we have solutions that you can stay, right? You can stay in that house that you love and refinance or somehow get the financial pieces of the puzzle together. Sometimes the end goal is we want a bigger house or we want land. Like, there's so many other goals. Everybody's goals are different. We want to get you there. We want to help you reach your goals.
Awesome. So Jenna Lee and I, we both do business in the Rochester market. I'm on the west side of Rochester, and even mostly out into Genesee County, really, where Jenna Lee's in Monroe County and east side. But I think you cover basically the whole county, correct?
Yeah, Monroe, Ontario, Wayne, Livingston,
Gotcha.
a little, yeah.
Yeah. So if you've watched this and you have a question or a comment, or you want Jenna Lee and I to get back to you, just please put a message in the comment below, and we'll get back to you. Usually we get back, pretty quickly, usually within 2 hours.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. If it's like business hours.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah, I go to bed early, so.
Right. Yeah.
Don't be posting at 11 and thinking you're going to get a response in 2 hours.
Exactly. So, okay. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me, Jenna Lee, this morning. This has been a great conversation. I really enjoy it. And we'll look forward to doing this again soon. Okay.
Same. Sounds great. Thanks, Chuck.
All right. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.